So we want to thank the city of Benicia for their rebates, solar system rebates, which is starting in January, and the state of California for their CSI and California Solar Initiative rebates, as well as the federal government for their 30% tax credit, which all helps to keep the solar industry moving forward. So what is solar electricity? The photovoltaic effect is light and producing voltage. Systems convert light directly into electricity using semiconductors. So photons contain energy and transfer it directly to electrons in silicon. I'm sure some of you might know more than me about some of this technology and science, but so why go solar? First reason is to help the environment, also to save money. It didn't always used to be the case, but now people can actually save money, and so that's a driving force pushing the solar industry. So this is 43% of U.S. energy is still coming from coal. In California, it's less than 1%. And solar here is less than 1% of also. In 2010, solar was less than 1% of the renewables, but it's moving towards 35% by 2020. So solar PV is growing a lot in the next few years. This is projected 2020. So industry trends for solar, globally it's growing a lot and projected to grow a lot more. And you can see on the right, the prices are falling, and that those are spurring each other. So the cost of electricity produced from solar installations has been steadily reducing towards that of grid electricity. And some think it will be the same price by 2015. So you can see the solar electricity costs going down, meeting with grid electricity. This is helping solar power keep growing. This is another picture. Some places, depending on the price of electricity in different areas, already converge. This is traditional electricity costs going up, solar coming down. And also there are different technologies which are slightly different, and it depends again on the area, the region. So the dropping price of solar is the big mover, the big driving force pushing solar right now. So electricity fundamentals, a watt is a basic unit of power, a kilowatt is 1,000 watts, and a megawatt is 1,000 kilowatts. So a certain amount of watts over 1 hour is a watt hour. A watt over an hour is a watt hour. This is how power is measured. So electricity can be transported at the speed of light. Therefore, any point can be said to be connected to all others. The network is called the grid and is nationwide or worldwide. So these are grid terms. Baseload is what's needed to keep the lights on. These little gray lines here, those are weekends when businesses are not running their air conditioning and their lights. So these are weekends. That's the summer. That's summer air conditioners. And that's the peak load right on top. It might be around the hottest time of summer. So that's base load, seasonal, peak. And there's different types of solar. Today we're talking about PV, which electricity is produced from. There's also other types of pool heating and solar water heating. Other types of solar technologies are also available. So the reliability of solar, the technology has been around for 50 years and was essential to the space program because it's hard to bring wires to space. So a lot of satellites might be using solar technology more efficiently. So most products and panels have 20 to 25 year warranties, solid technology. Companies like Samsung, Sharp, a lot of large companies are now involved with making, and it's not on here, but I've heard someone compare the solar panel manufacturing industry to the car industry in 1910. There's 100 makers, and maybe in a few years there's going to be less manufacturers. It's like the Wild West with the growing business. So terminology, this is one cell. A module is made up of many cells, an array of many modules. So PV system sizing, an average house might have, for example, a 4 kilowatt system. Cars might be measured in horsepower, PV systems in kilowatts. So crystalline versus thin film, they have a different heat response. In extreme heat, thin film responds better. Crystalline loses a little power, but that's very hot, and still crystalline is still the most popular, most widely used right now because of price fluctuations, and thin film takes more space, so it's always a compromise. So inverter is what transforms, what changes your power. The solar system on your roof produces DC power. It's changed to AC power in your inverter and then fed into the meter in the panel. So solar works at day, but what about at night? Most people say, where do I store my power? So previously there was only one solution, which was batteries, and it had to be in a cool temperature room, a lot of messy batteries with acid spilling out of them maybe. So, but today, most people aren't using batteries. We have something called net metering. So when you produce it, you feed your energy, whatever you're not using, you feed the excess back to the grid. PG&E gives you a credit for it. Other people use it. And then at nighttime, you use it. When you're using power, you're using the credits that you've given them. So you sell it to them at day. And most people who get solar, they opt into PG&E's time of use rate. So when you're making it, you're getting higher credits because it's during peak hours and you're using it off peak. So it helps your bill. Also, you produce more in the summer, but you can roll that over. PG&E gives you 1 year, a 1 year credit on it, so you can roll over your production into the winter when you might have less sun. So typical components are your solar array, your inverter, and your electrical house panel. So first you would feed your home, whatever electricity you need at home, and the excess gets fed back to the grid. So longitude, latitude, these are all things to take into consideration. So here where we live, in the northern hemisphere, all solar systems are designed to face south. So they take the roof, if it's on an angle, they take the one that's facing south. So this is what the picture will look like from the Seneye device. And this is south here. Sun is lower in the winter, more overhead in the summer. This is always south, hopefully, if your roof permits. So the question is, does your site have enough southern exposure? So others PV siting issues to consider are sun energy. Different areas have different amounts of sun. Space, do you have enough space on your roof? Shading, north-south orientation, tilt, and aesthetics. So the sun is measured in peak hours. Even though you're getting sun at 7 a.m., you're not getting as much as at 12 noon. So the way it's measured is they just squeeze it into a box, and that's how they measure, and they call it peak sun hours. So around here, average is 5.1 peak sun hours per day. So you take your daily usage needs and divide that by 5 hours, and that's how you size your system. So this is a different map. Different areas get different amounts of peak sun hours. And this is a 1 year average. So obviously it's red around here in the summer, but this is 1 year average. So they get the most down here, over here is second, and then they get less in the East Coast, a little bit less, but still a lot. So California is a great climate for solar. The fog doesn't hurt necessarily too much. And microclimates like around the Bay Area only account for about 15%. So people in Pacifica still have solar panels even though it's very foggy. So this is your PV orientation. South is best, southwest is good, southeast is okay, north is no good. Because most roofs around here are about a 412 or 20-degree angle about. And this is a good average for the year. A little higher tilt is better for winter, and maybe lower is better for summer, but that's a good yearly average without having to ever touch them. So preferred ideal is 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. No shading problems, no issues. 8 to 4 if possible. You need a minimum of 4 hours. All this will basically boil down to how much energy you're producing, and you divide that by how much money you spent on it to see if it's worth it for you. So that's a good solar window from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's that chance if you have a big tree right there blocking your sun. So this is a PG&E rate schedule. People who only use a little bit of electricity, they pay the least amount, 12.8 cents a kilowatt hour. But if you start using more, you pay a lot more for your power. Residential who use a lot of electricity pay a lot more. So you pay more the more you use. So a lot of people aim to knock out either all of their needs or just most of them to keep you out of the higher tiers. So solar reverses the rate tier effect for a better investment. So some people choose to still use a little bit from PG&E. So there's also the time of rate use, who should not opt in. So this is the example of a solar lease. For example, if your bill used to be this much, this will be your new PG&E and your solar lease. So you're still, in total, still paying less than you used to pay. For example, there's a lot of zero down programs and you pay monthly on your new system. So this is kind of a general average price, how it's breaking down, how the prices are broken down, PV panels, inverter, the other parts, installation. So this is an average price for installed solar, maybe $5 to $7 per watt, per kilowatt, or per watt, excuse me. So there's different types of ways people look at the return on investment. So payback, internal rate of return, value. Also, it's also known to increase the value of a home, but not the property taxes. So a new buyer wouldn't have to pay higher taxes, but they would save on their electricity. So it has a value. So this is maybe the future of PV, building integrated photovoltaics. So new homes can come with it built in. They look like tiles, something like this. So this is more of the future. And that's it. So if anyone has any questions.